Hello, and I wanted to record a message on the progression of human growth and then human evolution, and where we're heading to in the next phase, kind of our evaluatory system of what it means to be human. The concept of human, right? The concept of yourself as a human being is starting to shift, right? To where we go, or we're being forced to go into an internal space of ourselves. When in the past, our lives were more extravagant in the sense that we spend a lot of time searching and going out, exploring ourselves from the outside. The new evolutionary path that we're facing right now is ourselves going within, right? Where we're going within the core of ourselves and starting to discover what it means to be us. And not us on the global scale, but us on the individual scale, right? So the I am is starting to wake up within us. And through the I am, even though it seems like a very individualized and very, oneself focused effort, this I am is actually going within and connecting to the global initiative of our enlightenment or our initiation or whatever you want to call it, right? So the energetic self, if you're into the energy field and energy work, the energetic self, by touching yourself within, right, by collapsing your wave, is then able to center in so much within your core. Then you flip your existence and then become one with a whole. And I don't know, that is probably the best way to describe the concept. So from the quantum physics standpoint, there are all these diagrams of the toroidal operations of energies, and so this directly relates to your extension and to you as a human being. If you imagine yourself in the past living in this toroidal extension of energy, right, where you're functioning and you're interacting with the world to build your outside self. Now, this toroidal energy is flipping, maybe this is the best way to put it, or possibly converging on itself in order to morph, right, into recognition of self from within, and then experience the world from that standpoint, right? So instead of going out and searching for self, right, we've been doing that. I've been doing that all my life. We're now going extremely deeply in, like to the core center of us, in order to then fold the existence of self and then extrapolate ourselves out into the whole with the whole. So I hope that makes sense from the everyday applications of from everyday, living in the three-dimensional space, that going within showcases itself in a multitude of ways. And so one of the ways that we're seeing right now is we are having to face our own fears, our own tribulations of self in the most profound and sincere way, a way that we have been avoiding or hiding or try to postpone in every way possible, because it hurts, right? But this global awakening, this shift, the centering in, is forcing us to dig in, probably at the deepest level into our core, and face the entire essence of us from the most minute standpoint, to the largest, I would say, problem of self, but in essence, the largest, version of us that we are avoiding to see. And so that is, portion one is we are as we're doing that internally, right? There is this external fight within us to go within, right? And so a lot of turmoil that you're seeing on these backlashes and these moments of anger and these outlashes into whatever field, and you name it, it exists out there, are all a product of an internal fight of self to go within, right? So until we're ready to go within, we will grab on to any kind of external outlet possible that will justify our feelings, or that will in some way allow us to go, oh, I'm feeling this inside. Not because I'm feeling this inside, but because of that, right? Or because of this, or because of that. And we're just grabbing on, right? So that collective turmoil that we're feeling inside right now is really a representation of our internal fight of not allowing our being to go into the center of ourselves, right? So that fight will continue until each one of us is able to step back, right, and center in, and then start going within, and then in turn not exert out that energy, that outflow that is completely unnecessary, right, within themselves. And so that unfortunately, unfortunately, depending on how you want to look at it, that is the path. But if the centering in does not happen, if the individual being chooses never to acknowledge that this is the path of centering in and going within, and instead continues to extrapolate their life and continues to extrapolate their actions and search for the external outlets to justify the feelings inside, sooner or later, a complete collapse of self will exist. And so, and that could come in multitude of ways and multitude of forms. I don't have a way to dictate or even to perceive of how this would happen, but just to name the few. So sickness will originate from this, right? Depression originates from this. Any sort of conflict that you can possibly imagine originates from this, right? And so as these external things would be happening, all the conflicts or all the turmoils that you would be setting up and initiating or participating in would continue to exist, then your higher self would then collapse you in by force, right? And so however that collapse looks like, right, however that deterioration of self will look like, would be very personal. And then hopefully it would be just enough for you to experience that self-recognition, of self-awareness of going into your center, right? And that would be like the wake-up call of like, oh, okay, I've been going around this the wrong way, right? And so more and more of us will start experiencing those wake-up calls, but at the same time, more and more of us, will be driven by our higher being to go into that space of centering, right? And if you will not start going at it naturally, in the progression of your natural being, when you're listening to your intuition, you're listening to your body, you're listening to your heart centers, right? You're allowing this expression of self to come out naturally. Would have that that centering happen in the most magical and non-forced way. Although there's still hard times, even if it's not due to sickness or due to some sort of crazy trauma or due to some sort of complete collapse of self. But that is an easier route to choose if you choose to participate in it. And then those who choose not to participate obviously would choose the route of a little bit more turmoil, tribulations on their way, sicknesses, complete deteriorations of their social statuses, their lives, kind of those like the wake up moments that you would classify that a lot of people go through. So that is the path of human consciousness as we speak, is to go through the centering, as a collective, right? But then at the same time as an individual, right? And so after we face this as an individual, after we face this as each and every one within ourselves, we will be able to reach the core of our being, right? And then within that core, right, conflict by default cannot exist, right? Nothing, in fact, can exist within it other than pure consciousness and recognition of ourselves as one. And so that is the path that we're going through, or going towards, and through. But at the same time, I don't know how long it will take us to get there. So, the kind way to do this is to give everyone as much time as possible in order to have an opportunity to self-recognize and self-awaken on their own path without the extreme force. But of course, not all of us have chosen that road. So, and not all of us are on the same timeline, of time and space, in order to reach that. So, but of course, time and space itself does not exist. So, that is a whole other video. But yes, that is where we find ourselves. So, as you live your life, right, as you possibly listen to this video, you can see where you fit on that, right? Anytime you're reaching out and trying to find an external justification, an external source of your unwellness, of your turmoil, that is in fact self-denial, of you attempting not to center in, right? Attempting to find easier route, and I truly mean easier, right? Whatever you will be picking out there to focus on is in fact an easier path to follow, and then therefore, not through laziness, but through unreadiness to face the pain within, you would just externally be seeking out all kinds of stimuli. But then through self-evaluation, recognition, I hope you can realize that each one of those moments is in fact a moment for you to go within, right? And then that is actually your higher self calling you in and calling you to center, and then start recognizing where do I go to center? What do I do with my life in order to live the path that I'm meant to live? Not meant to live by someone else's standard, In fact, that's usually the opposite of what you're meant to do, right? But meant to be as you are, right? And that's the beauty of your self-recognition, is at the center of it, right? This is not a march towards anything other than pure bliss, right? Your higher self is not forcing you to go anywhere where you're already not, right? The core of your being is this love and light, is this connection to the universe, and a knowledge of all and everything, right? Just a centering of your being in the most beautiful way. So your higher self is pulling you there and pushing you there. And so sometimes that is hard to face the truth. Sometimes that is hard to start feeling what you're actually feeling, as opposed to what you think you want to feel in order to avoid the feeling of your actual feeling. I hope that makes sense. But that is the road to self, and that is the road that we're going on, and that is the path of us, all 8 billion of us, in our timeline of space and time, whatever snapshot you want to look at it, right? So I hope that's helpful. Thank you for listening, and happy awakening.